Director Danny Boyle claims Cillian Murphy doesn't deserve to appear in the movie 28 years later. At the Dorchester Hotel in London, the press conference to announce the project 28 years later took place with the participation of hundreds of journalists, critics, film bloggers and die-hard fans of the survival horror genre. Danny Boyle stepped onto the stage in a dark suit, his face cold but confident, his usual style. When the MC asked, "Fans are wondering if Cillian Murphy, the hero of 28 Days Later, will return in the new Air film?" Danny Boyle replied, without hesitation, "No. Cillian Murphy will not be in this film. And I think he is no longer worthy." The whole room fell silent. The sentence fell like a knife, not only to fans, but also to the film industry. From companions to rift. Cillian Murphy was the star of 28 Days Later, 2002, the film that made him internationally famous, and was a big turning point in Danny Boyle's career after Trainspotting. They have maintained a good relationship for many years. Cillian once said, "If it weren't for Danny Boyle, I probably would never have come into the international spotlight." So what made Boyle say no longer worth high? The quiet split. An unnamed source from the film's production revealed. When 28 Years Later was started, both Boyle and screenwriter Alex Garland wanted to change direction. But Cillian wanted the new film to respect the original spirit, his character, and the original open-ended ending. Cillian is said to have submitted 3 drafts, none of which were approved. Another Sony Pictures source said. He wanted to direct his own part, or at least co-produce it. That doesn't fit Boyle's vision. Chain reaction. After the controversial statement, social media exploded. Danny Boyle just killed his own franchise. What's 28 Years Later without Cillian Murphy? Did he really say not worth it? After all Cillian did for the first film? Within 12 hours, the hashtag #JusticeForCillian climbed to the top 3 Twitter trends worldwide. Cillian Murphy remained silent. 3 days passed. No response from Cillian. No press release. No Instagram. No comment from his manager. Only a short article from renowned film journalist Robbie Collin. "I just met Cillian in Dublin. He smiled, nodded, and said, 'I don't regret what didn't happen.'" The film industry began to split. Christopher Nolan, who worked with Cillian on 6 major films, said in an interview. "Cillian Murphy is one of the most professional actors I've ever known. He has nothing to prove." Meanwhile, director Edgar Wright wrote on X, "No one is worthy or unworthy of cinema. That's a disappointing choice of words." However, some critics defended Danny Boyle. The director has the right to decide the vision. Maybe he felt it was time to move on from the shadow of the past. An interview to turn things around. A week later, Danny Boyle appeared on The Graham Norton Show. When asked again about his unworthy statement, he sounded weary. "I don't hate Cillian. I admire him. But during the making of the film, there were irreconcilable differences. I chose the wrong words, and I'm sorry if that hurt him." Graham asked, "Would you like him in a film, if it were all done again?" Danny was silent for a moment. "Maybe. But it's too late." Cillian breaks the silence. On the 20th of October, Cillian Murphy appeared in a rare interview with the Irish Independent. When asked about the incident, he said, "I thought I wouldn't say anything. But I think the public has a right to know. I never asked for the role. I didn't ask for production. I just gave my perspective, as someone who lived the character of Jim." I don't blame Danny. Maybe we saw two different paths. And I chose to go quietly. The film went ahead, but with a bitter aftertaste. 28 years later was still set to begin shooting in January next year, with a completely new cast. The lead role was given to Aaron Taylor Johnson, and the supporting role to Florence Pugh. The media called it the post-Cillian version. However, audiences remained skeptical. YouTube comments all revolved around one question: if Jim doesn't return, will the film still have a soul? A letter never sent. In a podcast special about the event, writer and screenwriter Alex Garland said, "Cillian wrote a handwritten letter to the crew. Not to ask for the part. Just to say, thank you for giving me a chance to tell that story, and if anyone else does, please be kind to it." But he never sent it. The letter remained in the envelope, which Garland kept.